Good. Awesome. Awesome. All righty. Let's get this show on the road then. So, guys, welcome to another student success interview. If you are brand new to the group, welcome aboard. My name's Omar. And if you're wondering what we do here, guys, every now and then we are absolutely honored and privileged to interview some of the amazing sellers that we have in our community. And by interviewing guys, by just listening to their story, we've been learning a ton about Amazon and what it takes to succeed here. And it also inspires the heck out of us. All right. And without further ado, I got a really special guest that we're going to be interviewing today. Frederic has been part of the community for 3.5 years. He is an OG member. Within that time, he scaled his business to 6 figures, all while juggling a fairly demanding engineering job in corporate America. So we're going to be getting to know him, how he did it, all his tips and tricks today. So please, let's show him a ton of love, guys, in the chat. Frederic, what's going on?
It's all good, Omar. Thank you very much for the great introduction. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm very much looking forward to chatting with you, getting to know you better. We've connected before a few times, but today's the interview. We're really going to dig into the details here. So I'm doing great. Thank you very much. What about you? How
Sounds
are you doing?
good. Man, I'm doing pretty good, and I was looking forward for this interview. Now we're here.
Yeah, man, me too. Awesome. So why don't we get started by you just sharing a little bit more about yourself? Let the people know who is Frederic, where you from, where you're living at right now. I think people would love to see that or hear that from you.
Yes, I'm Frederic, and I live in Maryland, where I work as a mechanical engineer. I'm originally from Cameroon, and I came here to the state 15 years ago. And I graduated my engineering in 2014. Then I started working. Then 2020, that's when I joined the PLM course. And I mean, that's
COVID
it.
times.
That's when
COVID times.
everything changed, man.
Everything changed. So real quick, what kind of engineer are you? What do you
So
tons of different types of
I
engineers
do
do?
mechanical engineering and systems engineering for the government.
Right on. Awesome, man. So you joined the community in 2020. Were you ever involved with any sort of business or anything in that kind of sphere before jumping into Amazon?
So I wouldn't call it business. I would call it side hustles. I used
Side
to
hustles.
do I used
Mhm.
to do independently Uber, Airbnbs. Then I was like,
Cool.
I don't like businesses where I have to be there in person, to manage, to look at guests. I wanted to do something on Amazon, but there's so many different systems. You hear about drop shipping, and I was doing my research. My Airbnb Amazon, my Airbnb was doing good actually. So,
Mm.
but I was tired. I wanted to do something bigger. And one day, I was just doing my research on YouTube. I saw a commercial from Tim. I saw this young man. He was like, "Yeah, you want to do private label? Those are the steps. This is the link if you want to join." And then there was Mr. Wonderful, promoting him too. I was like, man,
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this guy seems legit. I was like, man, this guy
Yeah.
talking the things I want to hear, because it's like you don't have to bring the boxes in your house. You can just do the FBA. I'm like, what is FBA? I want to know. I want to learn more about this. And then I made a phone call. The rest is history.
The rest is history. I like it. I like it. So you've been doing these side hustles every now and then. You mentioned Uber, you mentioned Airbnb. What was the end goal though? What is, I guess, the goal that you're kind of chasing after? What's your why? Like why you jumped into this business?
My why is independence. I want freedom. I want financial freedom. And I just think working at a job is good to learn the basic skills, because when we talk about it later on, it also helped me on the business side. So both of them go together, but I just wanted more.
Mm,
My body, my spirit just want to go after it. I just know there's more out
mm,
there for me. I can contribute more. I can I have more skills that I can show, I can help the world with. So that's why I was like, I've always been attracted to business on the
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like there is this like natural evolution of sometimes of we entrepreneurs go through where we mostly sometimes start with these side hustles to kind of like satisfy our hunger for more. But you get to a point where those like side hustles don't take you as far as you think you need, and that's when you start to question what is the next level from here. It's interesting to hear that you also dabbled in Airbnb. Very common business model. We see a ton of people do that. A lot of people are being successful with it. I'm curious to ask you now that you've had experience in both business models. You've done the private label, you've been in FBA for a while, and you've done the Airbnb. What were some like big pros and cons for you when you now transitioned into Amazon that you're like, you know what, Airbnb would have never been able to do this for me?
It's the scaling. Like when you do it right on Amazon, man, I mean, even if your product is $30 and you sell 5 a day, you're already making 150.
Yeah, yeah,
And one room that you have on Airbnb, I mean, it will be $60 a day. So it's hard to scale. Yes, you can have 10, you can have 20, but that's more work. That is more demanding. And the logistic, you have to have a system. For some people, it works, it's a very good model. But for me,
mm,
I wanted something scalable, like if I can sell 10,000, 10,000 products in a quarter. That sounds attractive to me.
totally, absolutely. Sounds attractive to probably many of us as well. Well, I actually want to dig into this scalability side of the business a little bit more because, Frederic, we do have quite a lot of people who are new to the business model. They don't have your 3.5 years of experience in this. They're just starting. We have people who just joined us today that are probably watching this interview. If you don't mind sharing really quickly, like what does the scalability behind this business sort of look like? Like if someone's brand new here, how would you describe that to them?
So the scalability is step by step, right? One, you make progress one step at a time. You don't want to do everything the same year. I mean, if your
Yeah.
goal is $100,000 a year, I mean, you start with 10,000, and then it doesn't have to be 10,000 a year, but you have to start, okay, how do I get my first 10,000? How do I get my first
Mm,
30,000, 50,000? So that's how scalability is. Like it's a step by step. You have to know exactly where you want to go. Then you want to make every little bit improvements that's going to get you there.
mm,
Because if you just sit on top of the mountain and just look at the whole thing, it can become overwhelming
so true.
because
Yeah.
this business, first of all, you have to accept that it's a real business. It
Yeah.
might start like as a side hustle, but it's a business and you need to take it seriously at some point. So if you want to scale, you can set a goal. Okay, is it one product a quarter that I want to add to my portfolio? Is it one a month, depending on your abilities? Because we all come here with different abilities. Some people they have experience of the model, so it's easier for them to adapt. So if you have no
Hmm.
experience, you don't know, you don't even know what FBA means, you know, when you sign up and then you learn progressively, you will be slower. But that doesn't mean that you're not profitable, like just one step at a time. And like Tim said, you want to do the right the right thing the first time, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Do it right the first time.
Do it right the first time, yes.
Do it right the first time.
So
Yeah.
that's
So
what
true.
scalability is. You just need to take it step by step. You won't believe the compounding effect of just adding one little thing to your listing every day. you know, just having hope, keeping the faith, just doing the things that you're supposed to do every day, little by little.
Yeah.
So that's what scalability means. And then one day you'll be surprised. I mean, I can take an
Absolutely.
example. Like my first year, for example,
Hmm.
when I joined, I didn't know anything about FBA, right? And then
Hmm.
I had a product in mind though. So when I came into the group, I just followed the system to vet it, right? And I was so motivated because right after I joined February 14 that year, COVID hit in March.
Mm.
And
Oh
then
yeah.
I'm just home sitting. Man, sometimes I look back, I'm like, how was I doing everything? Like that's why I can talk about it step by step because sitting home, I just watch every video, apply, watch, apply, and that's the most important thing too, right? You
So
need to
true.
watch
Yeah.
and you need to apply because if you
And
don't do it, nothing is going to happen. My first month, I made 3,000, and then I realized that product wasn't good. I switched, right? I look at my competitors, I see what they were doing. I switched and I got to the new product. And just by doing the system every day, by the end of the year, I made 100K. I was surprised. I wasn't ready for that. So I wasn't ready for it to happen. I was just following the steps and things happen. So that's what scalability means.
yeah. No, I appreciate the honest like overview of it. And I think you brought up a really good reminder for people is that it doesn't happen overnight. And it's easy to, see a business like yours, Frederic, or a business like Tim's, and be like, you know what, I want that. And I'm going to be doing that in the next little, couple months. And I'm going to scale with 100 products. I'm going to start with 20 products right off the bat. And in reality, it doesn't really look like that. And in fact, actually, a better way to grow is slow and steady with consistency, with conviction, with strategy, rather than throwing 100 products up in the air and seeing what sticks. Um, so, reflecting back on your journey, you started with just one product. And is that the one you scaled all the way to the end? Or, did you end up adding more products within that first year?
So frankly, no, I started with that one and then I switched to the better one. That's what I kept. And when I talk about doing every day, I was watching either a student success interview or teams. So I was watching something. And I think my first 6 months, I watched all the PLM um, meetings that thing had every Tuesday.
The live streams.
And
You watched them all?
yeah, back in 2020, it was a
There
lot, but
wasn't
it wasn't that
there was a
much.
lot still. Tim's
Yeah,
Tim's been doing that since 2018.
yeah, I'll
So
watch
yeah,
them, man, because it was so
yeah.
good. Like every time, and there's a lot of things in the course, like in those live stream that you cannot find in the course because it's so vast. There's so many systems, and you cannot blame the course. You cannot put everything in the course. Like
No.
there are just things you learn along the way. And for the beginners, you don't need those things. But honestly, once the product hits the warehouse, man, you're gonna get motivated if it's the first time. Like instead of sitting home and just wishing that because I talk about it because I help a lot of people too, my friends joining the course or launching their products.
Hmm.
I've noticed that people that do the stuff, that do the work, want to continue doing it instead of trying to find the best product, waiting months and wasting time. You only
Yeah.
in the game when you put that order, and your money is on the line. Now
Yeah.
you start to think.
You pull the trigger. Yeah,
Yeah,
things
now
start to get real.
you
Certain
start
things
to get
start to really
real.
get real.
Yeah, you're gonna surprise yourself. You have skills that
Yeah.
you're not even aware of.
Frederic, I want to add something here. And this is to everybody watching, because I see this all the time, where I'm a big believer now that if you show me what you've done with the course and the program and how you're approaching your week, I have a good feeling of where you're going to end up. And here's a great reflection with Frederic. You just heard him say he's watched all the live streams when he joined. Now, it's quite a feat even back in 2020. And today, it's still quite a feat because we have even more live streams. But my point is that that sort of dedication, you see someone really put the work in like that, it's not a surprise to me, Frederic, that you've succeeded and you've been able to scale your business and keep it up running to this day. It's not a surprise to me, right? And on the vice versa, it's not a surprise when I see people run into trouble and I look at their course progress and they haven't watched the course. They haven't even touched the live streams. They don't show up to the live streams. They're not asking questions. They're not really, really taking their business seriously. So to your point, you got to put the work in, and putting the work in isn't just about watching course videos or even putting the work into your business. Obviously, it's also seeking advice, seeking coaching, and getting that mentorship that you're here for. Frederic, I want to ask you actually, because I know we've talked about this before, like, how did you seek mentorship and coaching as you joined us here? Like, what was your routine of utilizing the program to help you with your business?
So back in the Facebook group, there was a mentor. I forgot his name. Was it Robert?
Robert, yeah.
Yes. So when I started launching, PPC was very difficult for me. So I
Mm,
called Robert and he kind of helped me for an hour. And that just showed me the perspective because by the time he had sold his business for like 400K. So that was a good help. And I've always been looking around for mentorship or coaching, even in the
mm,
course. At every little step, I try to find the coach that's going to take me to the next level because if somebody is making seven figures, that's my next goal. I think I can learn from that person, to get unstuck because sometimes I will find myself thinking too much about a point, not understanding fully what's going on, watching a video again and again. And for example, lately, I talked to Sean, and
shout out to Sean. Yeah.
yeah, I had him look at my portfolio and trying to see what was going on, and he gave me invaluable information. I don't think by myself, I would have analyzed it like him because he would get in my products and be like, yeah, these competitors, they are using this like upscaling, this. I don't even know. Like when he was talking, I didn't even know what upscaling meant. Like he would go into the details, explain to me, give me a whole analysis on my product. And one big mistake I made the first year too was I
Mm,
didn't even know that I made a mistake until this year when I talked to Sean.
mm.
He was like, "Why are you even selling to Canada and Australia?" That was a good question. I don't know the answer, man, because I know that I have to. I have to scale. If it's not more products, I can go to many to
Mm.
other marketplace. He was like, "Hey, doing good over there." And it took me a while. I mean, I understood what he meant, but as I went back to the video, I was watching it again and again, trying to analyze and looking at my business. I'm like, man, this guy's right. Because look at this. Look at this. The first year, right? The year I made it, the 100 plus K, I sent some product to Canada.
Mm,
Then I went out of stock in the US. I sent 2,000, for example, in Canada during Christmas and 800 in Canada. So 2,000 to the US, 800 to Canada. Those products in the US sold by December 10. I was sold out in
wow.
the US. If I had sent those products to the 800 instead of sending it to Canada, I sent it to the US, man, I would have never went out of stock. And
Right.
the punishment on Amazon is when you go out of stock. That's why Tim always reminds us, don't go out of stock. Man, he's right.
So
I've
true.
been out
Yeah.
of stock. And
What a pain.
I've been struggling all those months. And then Sean, in just 1 hour, was just like, you don't need to send to Canada. And he lives in Canada. He doesn't even sell in Canada.
It doesn't.
So that really took my business to another level. Just
Awesome.
focus on one marketplace, make sure that you control your inventory, then you can move to the next.
Man, that's such sound advice, Frederic. I think it's something that a lot of people need to hear, including myself. But shout out to Sean, first of all. Big shout out to Sean. Sean is an absolute beast of a coach. He's fully lives, breathes, and thinks about Amazon all day. So but I'm really glad to hear that he's helped you out with this stuff. And it's also great lessons for us to take away from this too. So big takeaway, guys, is when you're scaling your business and you're considering other marketplaces, just make sure that you're not sacrificing the current marketplaces that you're already in, especially if you're in the United States, which is the biggest marketplace. Don't sacrifice those sales to just be like, I want to sell in Canada next, because the volume that you'll typically see in those other countries won't match what you're doing in the United States. It has to make sense to your business. So I appreciate you sharing that, Frederic. And just this is what makes these interviews so wonderful, honestly, for everybody, is that we get to just learn from each other, right? Like Tim says, that hive mind community, a rising tide lifts all ships. So I really appreciate you sharing that. I want to circle back a little bit, actually, and then we'll come back to a current conversation. But you mentioned briefly earlier that you were scaling your business, and with your first product, you ended up taking a little pivot within it. You changed something. You said the landscape with your competition changed a little bit. I'd love to dig into that a little bit more, actually. Do you mind sharing a bit more details on like what happened exactly and how you pivoted from that situation?
I mean, I think it's because when I started the business, I was so eager. I was like, okay, let me just launch. I didn't want to waste time. I didn't want to, because I know my personality. If I just sit there and trying to look for the perfect product, I would switch businesses before I remember that I was doing Amazon. So I like the action. So I wanted to take action, and the product, the variation that I took wasn't the right one. I just figure in the middle of the summer that, hey, why am I even doing this when people are buying that? So when I did more research, went over the sheet again, I realized that the other one was better.
Mm.
And
Oh,
since I
okay.
was already in the game, I just pivot.
Right. Okay. Okay. So it wasn't like I thought you made changes to your first product and then came to market again with like an improved version, or you more so transitioned from like one product into a completely different niche. Is that correct?
No, I modify it. Like I look for another USP. I change everything. So
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I misunderstood again then. Okay. So
yes,
you modified it, you improved it, and you came to market with that improved product.
yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So then I want to ask you is what were certain things that you looked out for to help you make that decision? Because and this is a great reflection for all our new sellers, is that it's a great reminder that sometimes your business hardly ever stays still. Amazon's an ever evolving landscape, especially each market will have its own competitors that will come and go. So landscapes do change, and it's good for us as sellers to stay on our tippy toes and stay focused, stay alert, and be able to adapt and pivot when needed. So my question to you, Frederic, is like, what were those things that you looked out for that helped you make that decision?
So then I mean, it's a good question, but now I can answer. Then I didn't really know, but
Yeah.
it's the numbers. It's the numbers. Because if I look at my profitability and one variation, is not as profitable as the other one, and my business is not going to grow as fast, I would just go with the one that has more profit. If a product has 10% profit and the other variation has 25%, I will go with the one that makes more profit. And I had my shopkeeper, as I got addicted to that sound, the ka-ching.
The change,
And
yeah.
there's a difference when you sell 1 a day or 3 a day, then 10 a day, 20 a day, So I don't know if that answer your question, but
It does, yeah, it does. Basically, look at the numbers. Yeah, it
yeah.
needs to be an objective decision, because business is mostly objectivity, and it's sticking true to those basics and those fundamentals. And that's also a great reminder for everybody too, is that we rarely want to get attached to our ideas and attached to the idea of selling a product. A very common thing we see with new sellers who come in and think like, I've always wanted to sell this product, and they kind of build this like big picture vision, and there tends to be a lot of emotions tied in, and it's much better for you to be in a position to be somewhat detached from the product. Don't get too attached, because there might be moments later on in your business where you're going to need to pivot away from it, because the numbers don't lie and the market is telling you and the data is telling you that that's the right choice. You don't want your emotions in that moment to cloud your judgment, right? So
Yeah.
that's a great reminder, Frederic. I'm glad you shared that.
I mean,
Also, yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
and it's also the same when Sean told me to move away from Canada and Australia, right? I could have been, oh yeah, I'm making some money over there. What? If it works, I will stay. If it doesn't work and the data shows that it's not working, it's not working. You know, I don't want to be attached to something and lose money every day, every month.
Yeah. No, doesn't make sense, because we're running a business on the end of the day. Like the numbers have to make sense to us, right? You feeling good about selling a particular product, or you feeling good about selling in Canada, hey, that's not going to pay rent. That's not going to put food on the table. It's the money, it's the profits, the return on investment. That's how we got to look at things sometimes.
And it's your time because it takes you the
Mm,
same time to ship something over there than to ship it to the US. And sometimes one of my shipment got lost going to Canada.
oh no.
I had all those headaches, man. And the US never caused me any trouble. So, I mean, the data showed that it made sense.
Made sense. Absolutely.
Maybe for
One thing I
somebody
was,
else, I mean, Canada makes sense. But
yeah.
for my
Well,
business, I follow the data.
all the data, totally. And yeah, even when you're making that decision of scaling your business, I think like you need to make sure the numbers still make sense. That outlook, every market is going to look different, obviously, and each marketplace should be treated differently. There was a student that shared a recent win within her own business, Uso Lee. If you look her up in the group, she hit $100,000 in the Australian marketplace of
I
all
saw that.
places.
I
You
saw
saw
that.
that.
Yes.
So I asked her, Frederic, I was like, did you bring your products from the United States to Australia, or did you launch Australian marketplace specific products that you don't sell in the United States? And she answered exactly what I thought. She has a mix. She's like, I brought some of my items to the Australian marketplace, but I also saw individual opportunities and I launched in them uniquely, not selling in the United States with the same products. And that's the sort of approach and mindset we should have with our businesses, is that each marketplace is separate. It's different. Sometimes there is that best case we could bring our products all over the place, but sometimes it doesn't make sense. And the numbers need to tell you that, right?
Yep. That's right.
Yeah. Man, one thing I want to quickly mention too, big importance, is the shopkeeper, right? Like shopkeeper is such a crucial tool, not just because it's incredibly satisfying to hear the ka-ching when it comes in, very satisfying. But I'd love to ask you, and I'd love to have you share with us, Frederic, like why is shopkeeper such a necessary tool for managing this business, especially, by the way, when you're launching your business?
Because you want to know, again, your numbers daily. As a businessman, I mean, once you move it from side hustle to business and you take it seriously, you
Mm,
want to check your numbers daily because they tell you what works and what doesn't work, and you can pivot. You don't want to wait at the end of the month when your bookkeeper or the CPA send you the financial statement to know
mm,
that the whole month you've been losing $100 a day or $200 a day. You want to know at the end of by the hour if you're losing, and make decisions that's gonna make the business survive. That's why shopkeeper is so important. That's why you pay monthly. So if you want to be profitable, I mean, that's what you do.
Yeah. It's like what Tim says. If you don't have shopkeeper, you're flying blind in this business,
Man, that's so
right?
true.
You're flying blind. Like how would you know? Like how would you know what your financials look like at the moment? The sales revenues of Amazon is not enough. You need something that kind of consolidates all that data into one. And if you guys want to learn more about the financials of the business, if this is like you're new to this, you want to understand like how to understand it, Hugh, one of our coaches, he did a fantastic masterclass a few months ago. It's recorded. It's in the group somewhere. Sorry. And if you're having trouble finding that, just tag me in school. And I'll be happy to share that with you. But he walks through everything. He walks through the difference of shopkeeper and like why QuickBooks might not be enough and stuff. But Frederic, because we talked about this before. We've talked about how important the financials of your business are. Just like from that big picture perspective right now, like when you are looking at the numbers behind the business, what are numbers that you prioritize over others?
So right now, I just look at the financial statement first, and I want to know the cash flow.
Yeah.
Knowing if your cash flow positive or negative is a very important number because it tells you if your business is going to survive or what you need to do if you need to influx more capital. And there's a cash flow sheet in the group that is very good too.
Yep.
I started using it regularly. So, I mean, and then you just look at the profit and loss statement. Most of the time, I look at shopkeeper and then whatever my bookkeeper send me.
Mm.
Those are the numbers I looked at. And I also have financial projections that tells me, and it comes back to the sheet I was talking about in the course.
The cash flow or like the
The cash
inventory
flow,
management. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes.
I got you. Hmm.
So those are very important numbers that you need to know if you want to scale. If you're ready
Absolutely.
to scale, so
Yeah. Uh, Cash flow is king, as they say, and we need that positive cash flow in our business before we consider launching products. But the other way we can look at it is having those cash injections, right? And I know you've had an experience here, Frederic, at some point where you explored getting a high interest loan. Is that correct?
oh yes.
Yeah. So do you mind sharing a little bit more about the situation, like what brought you to consider doing that for your business, and I guess the lessons learned?
Sure. So when I thought I was ready to scale, I had a loan from QuickBook Capital. They offered me a loan, and I was like, okay, maybe it's time to get it.
Mm.
Then a couple months later, I found out it was a bad idea because, first of all, this year I took a lot of trainings, right? Besides the PLM, I realized that my business skills, you know, needed some improvements. So
Mm.
the county sometimes offer free free courses that you can go and take. They're like 12 weeks. Sometimes it's 2 days. And one of them, I took it in June. It was like CEO Accelerator in Columbia, Maryland.
Mm.
That course really opened my eyes because that's when I started making connection with numbers, business wise,
Mm.
and numbers of uh, the operations. Because most of the time, all we know from the beginning is the numbers for operation, how much I sell today. And so I learned more about credit, debt, and what one instructor said was, when you borrow, you need to know exactly what you're going to do with the money before you accept it. Because once you sign the paper, interest start running. And most of the time, for example, me, I didn't really get educated growing up about debt and how financial system work. All I knew was you go to work, you know, you go to school, and then you go to work, and then that's
Clock
it.
in, clock
It's
out.
life. Yep.
Yeah.
But taking those trainings really made me understand the mistakes I've made. And borrowing without having a plan really didn't make me successful, because by the time I, I drafted the plan and found the product that I want to launch, the short-term loan was already finished. All I did was just paying the interest. So what I would recommend is to have a plan, maybe borrow when you already know that, okay, this is a good product with a good USP. I've already made my 30 or 50% down payment. The product is already shipping. It's already shipped. Then you can borrow for the rest. I mean, that wouldn't hurt you. That wouldn't hurt you as bad as borrowing even before you find a USP for a product. And the better solution would be having a successful product, proven concept, then borrow.
Yeah.
Then any bank can help you, to scale.
Yeah. It's a really common question we get, and it's something we hear as well, is that people want to take a loan out to start their business, right? And they are looking at these like short-term loans. They're looking at like, what's your opinion on that? What do you think after your experience with the loan, like, and understanding the financials of the business as you do now?
I would tell anybody that wants to borrow to get educated first, because get educated about the financing system, about the finances, about how banks work, about how you can be protected and profitable, because it's easy to borrow. I think it's very easy in America to go in debt, but you want to borrow and win at the end, because you want to be in a win-win situation. Most of the time, when we have bad habits with money, we are not trained to borrow. We take loans just to take loans. Those are the mistakes that are going to make a lot of people go out of business.
Yeah. It
Get
it
educated first.
Get educated. I love that answer. Get educated. That's a great tip, by the way, for those that are interested. I didn't think about that, but looking at your county for free business education, free business courses, or workshops that they're running. Do you mind, like, if someone wanted to look into that for their local county, like, what are some maybe keywords they can plug into Google? Like, what's the best place for them to look into?
They can look for accelerator program near me. Uh, they will find something the county offer. And they have free mentorship too, and free coaching for business purposes at score.org. I don't know if you've heard about score.org. It's a very good
No, I haven't.
website. So you can find free mentor if you're a new business, if you just started a business. You can find somebody who can help you get educated before you borrow too for free. So there's a lot of resources.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's really good to know, actually. Awesome. And just to be clear too, like, this is like more so like general business advice, giving you that, like, that foundational knowledge of like the basic accounting, basic finance, basic whatnot. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And
Mm,
also, it can be advanced depending on who you're talking to, because you don't want to go to score.org and then the first person you talk to, you just, you need to vet them too. It's a vetting process in everything. You need to vet the loans you're going to have. You need to vet the coaches. Some of them, like one of the coaches that I've talked to, for example, He sold his business for $8 million. And
Nice.
he really helped me a lot when I showed him my financial projections. He pinpointed things that my banker, my CPA couldn't see. Like the way they were talking
Wow.
was like, oh, looking at your balance sheet, looking at your financial statement, you're spending too much money on marketing. You know, PPC costs money. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to sell if I don't pay PPC? But the guy who's an experienced businessman, he was like, man, you're doing good. Your overhead is just killing you a little bit, but just get more products because the overhead is not going to grow as much when your profit, grows. So depending
Mm,
on who you're talking to, it can be very basic and it can be very advanced, depending on
mm,
your level of comprehension too. And if you're doing the work, because if they ask you to do something and you don't do it, I mean, all you're
yep.
gonna get is basic.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta actually put the work in. It's not like they're gonna jump in and work on your business, just like,
It's the
yeah,
same,
how
just
we do
like
it too.
PLM. If
Yeah,
you come
exactly.
here,
Exactly. We're not hopping in and doing it for you. We'll try our best to guide you in the right direction though, but we're not doing it for you. You got to put the work in. You know what, that's really insightful. I'm glad you found some right people that you can, surround yourself with that can kind of help you, give you that perspective, and also good for us to learn from you on it, right? Like understanding the importance of that is awesome. I'm really glad we talked about this. And also, big takeaway, guys, is have a game plan for for any loans you plan to take for your business, and preferably done when you actually have a successful product, when you actually have proven cash flow within your business, because the risk behind taking that loan becomes manageable, right? When you're just taking a loan to start the business, there's still so much unknown, and the risk there doesn't make much sense, right? So you got to have a game plan. Have to have a game plan. Um, I feel like we've talked a lot about the numbers, Frederic. I kind of want to shift gears here a little bit. One interesting conversation that we've had in the past is your how you currently manage your business right now. You have certain standard operating procedures, and you also have a VA that you've hired actually to help you. And that's a really awesome point to be into your business, because now you can actually start to delegate tasks. Before we really dig into this topic code, because there's a lot of directions we can go, I want to take zoom out picture first and just have you share with everybody, like, when did you decide to hire someone in your business, and what role did they first serve for you?
okay, so somebody asked if I'm still working. I just thought I saw it popping it a while ago. Yes, I'm still working and I'm still planning on leaving my 9 to 5. So I do a business part-time in the evenings and weekends and do my work every day.
Yeah.
And my work
You
has
know,
helped me.
sorry, I was going to say you definitely keep going, but I'll also mention to everybody, I'll mention to you too, Frederic, in about the hour mark. So maybe in about 15-20 minutes, we can like pause taking questions from me, and then we can
Okay,
kind of look through the chat and see if there's
okay.
any cool questions that we want to pick at. But please feel free to finish what you were going after there.
Yes,
I
I
just want to give
mean,
everyone else
I
the
took
heads up
that
there.
question because it was going where to to the answer of the question you asked.
Hmm.
Because since I'm still working, having somebody else looking at the business while I'm doing my regular work was really important to me from the beginning. And this year, actually, I was always talking, talking, talking. Like I'm not talking about taking action. That's one example. Like when you say you want a VA and you really mean it, take action and actually do it. Like right, this year I finally decided to do it. I think also taking those trainings in the county helped me. And I vetted 3 VAs. I needed somebody to do the customer service, a little bit like the account management, looking at the PPC a little bit. But the mistake I made is when I hired 3 people, the first day, everybody was asking me, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do today? I didn't have nothing in place. So by the time I'm replying to this person, I'm thinking about what I'm going to tell the other person to do. It was very bad strategy. So a couple weeks later in the courses I was taking in the county, one young guy said, make sure you have SOPs before you hire. The light bulb just
Mm,
came out in my mind. Like, wow, that's so true. Because having the SOP helps the people you bring aboard understand the job they have to do and they can help you better. And it's easier for you once they know what to do, they don't have to come ask you every day, what am I going to do today? What's the work? So I created SOP for customer support, PPC, product research,
oh,
and
interesting.
also I had after 90 days, I chose one VA that I was going to work with because three of them was very expensive and two of them really didn't. I don't think we understood each other because I wanted them to check in and check out when they start and when they leave so I can know because most of them were in the Philippines.
Mm,
We don't work the same hours. I don't know if they don't check in, I wouldn't know what's going on. And when I just see the bill and I don't know what you've done, it's hard to pay that bill, And then one of them just was never there. Since I didn't have the SOP, I felt like I always had to send him a Skype message before he starts working because it's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to ask you what to do today. And if you don't send me anything, I don't work, and you keep me in the company. And I didn't like that idea. I was like, okay.
mm,
So I kept one VA and we've been working together. She's been helping me a lot, the business.
awesome.
Uh, so every time I check the shopkeeper, I can let her know, okay, we're losing sales here. Can you check what's going on in the PPC? And I've introduced her to the course too. So when I want her to learn a specific part of the course, she can just go there and review it
Mm,
and help the business. And we've been
mm,
running smoothly for the past 6 months.
nice. So it's been 6 months since she's like, where is she working for you full time or is it part time?
It's part-time for now
Mm,
because she has a full-time job. Man, having those three made me understood how good it is to have a good worker. Like
mm,
it's a different experience. So
really? Wow.
yes, if somebody is very good and they're productive, it's worth it.
So let's get into this then, because I'm sure there's going to be some people listening to this interview, and they're going to be like, you know what, I'm I think I'm going to hire someone. I'm ready to do this in my business. Okay, like what advice would you give them? Like now that you've been at this, and now that you understand the importance of having the right person on your team, like, do you have any tips that you can share with people on like how you would approach the interview process? What are certain things you would put on the job description, like stuff like that?
So my wife helped me hire because at her job she hires a lot. And I would just tell people first to have the SOPs ready before they hire and make sure that during the interview they ask specific questions to the people regarding the SOPs.
Mm,
And if the person is not qualified, it's fine. So I just want to know if the person is responsive, how fast they respond to my messages, I mean, some people are not nice. Like some people are very cold. And during the interview process, we were using text message. It's hard to tell if a person is really cold in real life because the text is different. But
mm,
I still give the benefit of the doubt. Like, okay, maybe it's because the person doesn't like texting or they don't know how to show emotion while they're writing. So those are important. Like those skills. beside the technical skill, because you can teach the technical skills easily, in my opinion, but you cannot teach somebody how to just follow direction. Because how they're
Mhm.
going to follow direction of the course if you just tell, okay, go look at this course, this is how we operate here. You need to feel confident that they can follow those steps.
Mm. Mm.
So it's all those soft skills that I was really interviewing for.
Right. So soft skills like communication, clear communication,
Yes.
time management, I'm guessing, uh, just project management, they can stay organized within themselves. Is that the sort of skills that you're talking about?
Yes, definitely. Because
Yeah.
day to day, you want to work with somebody you feel comfortable with, because one of my VA that I didn't really like working with, she wouldn't text, she wouldn't write down what she's doing, but at the end of the week,
Mm.
I would see the bill, you know. And she was
Mm.
actually more expensive because she knew how to sell herself during the interview. But at the end of the day, the one that was true to herself, she didn't have experience, she let us know, but she was responsive, she had good communication skills, she got good project management skills, she could follow directions. That's the one I chose to keep.
And that's the one you're currently working with right now.
Yes.
Oh, really interesting. I would have thought, yeah, that's good insight. I think people sometimes would probably value that experience more than the other stuff because they're like, this is my business and like this is my money now, you know? It's like it's completely different when you're hiring for like your job. It's the company's money, you know? Although of
Mhm.
course it's your reputation and whatnot on the line. But I guess it carries a very different tone when you're hiring for your own business. And now this is money that you're paying from your business to them. It carries a different tone. I could see people trying to value that experience more than other skills, but it's a good reminder that those soft skills are hard to teach, harder to teach than the technical skills. Is that correct?
It's correct and
Yeah.
consistent. Like when the person is consistent too, it show you that that's really who they are. It's not like they ask you the first day, uh, what uh, what can I do today? Is there the work? And then they never ask you to do again. They're consistent, like every day, every week. You just see the consistency. And if you need, a freelancer who knows that stuff, you can get this freelancer anytime. But if you want somebody in the company that for the long term, I think it's different.
Mhm. So how are you currently managing this VA within your business at the moment? And how has that evolved over the last 6 months? In other words, like what were certain tasks that you first delegated to her or to them, sorry, while they were onboarding your company? And how did that kind of evolve to where it is today?
So since I hired her after I found out about SOPs, we created SOPs together, right? The first time I was like, okay, when you're doing PPC, so I would give her a template. Can you just, from this template, create the SOPs and make sure that it's understandable. If we hire somebody, they can use it, put our logo on it. So those are the basic tasks. So she will watch the video and understand. Then she will do the customer service. And it's progressively that I will give her tasks that I think are challenging. Like even PPC, I was doing it myself. Then I will record myself and send it to her and show her. And when she would do it, I would look at it and be like, okay, here you made a mistake. I will show her exactly. And she'll be so happy. Like, oh, yes, thank you so much for showing it to me. And that's how we evolve.
Mm.
So because I have experience in the business, I know what's hard to understand, hard to do, and
Right.
what's easy. So progressively, I just give her more tasks. Like right now, we're trying to launch new products. It's only right now that I took her to the how to create a template for shipping and all those templates, even to build the business the product profile. So it's progressively. And every time I make sure that she learns, she entertains, because if somebody doesn't feel like they're growing, they're not going to stay either.
Mm. They're not going to stay, exactly, because it's sometimes that employee enrichment is beyond just making a paycheck. They want challenges. They want to feel like they're growing within it. It sounds like you're a great boss. No surprise, Frederic. You're a great guy. I also want to reflect on something here really quickly, because you mentioned something really key there, that you have experience in the business. Now, that's a little obvious, of course. The reason why I say this is because we have seen it asked in the group before. We've seen it asked on Tim's live streams, other live streams, where people want to hire someone, and because they don't want to do it within their business anymore. And it's almost like they're at a point where they haven't even done it themselves yet, right? For example, they're watching stage 4, they're looking at the PPC modules, and they're like, you know what? I already know this is outside my wheelhouse. I want to hire out to do that. Now, the problem with that, guys, is exactly what Frederic just hinted at there indirectly, is that because he has experience, he can actually be very involved with coaching his VA and giving them that direction, right?
Right.
Um, and without that experience, like, what do you think, Frederic? Like, what sort of advice would you give to someone that wants to hire parts of their business out and they haven't even done it themselves yet?
I mean, it comes back to what we talked about in the beginning. When you want to scale, make sure that every day you do something one step, you know, forward. And after you've done all that, you will have all the experience you need, because even if it's hard, even if you don't like, I don't like PPC, man. Like it's so confusing. But I had to do it. I had to, because one time I tried to hire an agency. Man, they were charging like $3,000 a month. I'm like, let me think about it. So
Let me think about it.
I mean, they keep sending me emails. They keep sending me emails, but I've done it myself for this far. When I hire somebody, I know it's hard. I know those numbers are very little. You got to change them maybe days sometimes. So I understand the struggle. I show them how I've done it to make it fun, and they can take it from there. So when people feel like, okay, he knows what he's talking about, and every question they have, I have an answer. Like, okay, it's not like they will ask me a question, I'll be like, uh, because they knew. It's not like they know everything. It's not like his team is going to come and ask me a question.
Hmm.
So for their level, I can answer most of the questions they have because I have that experience. But definitely, if I can have an expert, sometimes I think I did that one time. How do you call that? The audit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did it last year. It was very helpful, and then it gave me the template. So I use that template in my company. I just put it in my own terms, and my VA helped me with that. So that's how we do the reporting I think it's every week.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. You know what? One thing I noticed you say there is that you, because of the experience, you understand what's difficult and what isn't, right? And it's that sort of lens that you can help manage your employee even better and show them that you're human and that you can empathize with like what is going to be difficult. And you can also use that to judge their performance because you've been in it yourself, it's not fair to judge your employee if you haven't even done it yourself, right? Because if they're running into something that's usually hard, something that you would have even struggled with yourself, how can you judge them, right?
Right.
So just doubling down on that, guys, like you have to be in the game. You gotta put the time in, because when it comes time to hiring out to this business, you can use and leverage that experience to your benefit, just like what Frederick did here. And he's obviously building a great relationship with his employee. It's probably going to stay with him for a very long time.
Yeah. I know I said
Yeah.
6 months. It was in February, so it's almost 7. Wow.
Yeah, just the start. And it's cool to hear too that you're just like layering things into her systems and giving her more and more tasks and just seeing how they're managing with everything. Um,
And
and
also,
right,
I mean, I know I wasn't very clear about that. I've created a calendar instead of coming every morning and being repetitive. So I have a calendar that she follows, and also we have regular meetings every 2 weeks or so.
yeah.
Maybe on sometimes on Fridays, sometimes on Mondays, just to check in and have a little conversation. So
Yeah,
those are
and
two
that's
important
actually
things.
going to be my next question. Actually, I want us to dig into this a little bit more because you mentioned that you're obviously still working your full time job. You're also working on this business, and now you also have, this business is taking time from you. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about like what an average week looks like from Monday to Friday or Monday to Sunday, I guess. What's this sort of week look like? How are you fitting in your work for your job, the work for your business, and how often do you usually meet with your team member?
So it fluctuates, right?
Mm,
It depends on seasons because sometimes we're busy at work, sometimes you're not very busy. For example, during COVID, we were not very busy. That's why I could load up into the business and do all those trainings and watch all those live streams. But when we're busy, I kind of focus more on work. So
mm.
if we have a project that's due in a 6 months period, I will work on the business mostly in the evenings and on weekends. And with my VA, it's mostly 9 to noon. She's only doing 3 hours a day right now.
Hmm.
And when we have meetings, I have every Friday off, like every other Friday.
Mm.
So the weeks that my Friday is off, I have more time. I can schedule a meeting that Friday. And sometimes on Monday too, if I have something very urgent at 9 o'clock or 9:30, we can schedule the meeting. So that's how often we meet.
So about twice a month, and the rest of your time you're just fitting in around your work
Oh
schedule.
yes, I use what do you call this?
You got a cool
I
tool
use
to share
Slack.
with us?
No, I use Slack
Use
most
Slack
of the
to
time
keep
to
in touch with them.
communicate. Yes.
Uh,
And I also build a project management sheet to track the tasks that are being done and what we're looking forward to on the weekly basis. So yeah, I have all the due dates on it.
Check you out, man. Check you out. Staying organized. That's awesome. Yeah, that's very
I
cool.
mean, one big thing that has really helped me is ChatGPT. So
Really?
yes, because since I have the conversation, you know, on ChatGPT, some of them, sometimes it can let me know the task. Yeah, because I feed it a lot with business informations, and then I will ask, okay, what are the tasks that are urgent, right? And then
Ooh,
it
it's
would tell
cool.
me, I would say, okay,
Yeah.
can you build a timeline for the next 30 days or 60 days? It would do that for me. And then I will create an Excel sheet and put it there and have the comments that the VA can add if she's done or if there's any questions. So it's just building the system and using the tools, that we have
That's
available.
so cool. That's smart, man. I'm every day I learn a different way and a different use case for ChatGPT. This is really cool. So you're basically using it as almost as like consultant to your business.
Oh,
You've taught
yes.
it a little bit more about your business and
Yep.
more about what your VA does. Is that correct? And then you're
Correct.
asking it based off what I've shared, what's the next steps? What's a game plan? How do I grow? Is that am I kind of getting the right idea here?
Yes, I mean, you don't want to be very general with ChatGPT because if you ask the next plan, it's going to tell you some stories. It's not PPT, it's ChatGPT. So
ChatGPT, yeah.
you want to be specific.
Oh, I see. Hmm.
Like when you ask, okay, what are the tasks? You got to tell him, can you be more specific? Or can you give me example? Because sometimes it's very general. And yeah, you need to ask for, can you give me examples? So you need to like really drill down, because other than that, it's going to just vomit whatever story.
It's gonna make stuff up. I mean, literally does. Nice. That's really cool. I have not heard of someone using ChatGPT like that with their private label business. I think some people might be tempted to try that tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I use it a lot because I always wanted to hire a project manager, but ChatGPT is my project manager, man. You just need to
That's
know how to. I created a system on how to with all the questions I have. So
mm, very interesting. I I want to dig into this more, but I think what might be more helpful is if we had it like written out or something like that, like more details on like the types of prompts that you're sharing and the types of prompts that you're asking ChatGPT, because I know that's like super important when it comes to ChatGPT. Is that correct?
oh yes, I mean I can talk about it because I've done it so much. Very
Sure.
briefly.
Yeah.
So you can just ask, okay, could you list the task, could you list all the tasks that uh my VA is working on? And then it will give you some, and if you don't like it, you'll be like, okay, can you can ask, even you can even ask ChatGPT, can you ask a better question for what I'm about to, what I wanted to know? Like it would tell you how to ask him a better question, and then you can plug that question, and then it will give you the task, and then you will be like, okay, can you build the deadlines? It will do it, and then you're like, okay, can you build this? I think it's a schedule before the deadline, so something like that.
Mhm.
I just have
Right
it in
on.
my sheet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's great. It's a really good insight for us. I'm gonna try this tonight actually. I'm gonna see what it gives me. A little project manager, having
And then
someone help you stay organized with
you just
tasks.
copy and paste it in your Excel. And I also have like a template.
And that's the Excel that you use with your VA to manage projects.
Yes, and I share that with her. So
Right
when
on.
something is done, she just checked it, put it green, and I put who's responsible for what, so she knows what she has to do.
Mm. You know, we talked about this last week, Frederic, but where someone where is a place someone can go to learn more about how to hire VAs, how to work with VAs? I know you mentioned a resource that you used yourself.
Yes, outsource.com. I saw that research for I saw it the first time in the Facebook group when we used to use Facebook,
Mm,
and it's a very good resource to learn how to hire VAs. So they have a course with different modules. It's kind of long, but you can pinpoint exactly where you're struggling and use the templates they have.
right, outsource.com. So is the course they offer, is that free as well, or is that a paid course?
It's a paid course. I think it's about 600 a year.
600 a year. Oh, interesting. Okay. Right on. And through outsource.com, it's also a place like that's also where you hired your people out from, right?
No, they have a system over there, but I use the general one, Upward.
Mm,
I think I saw team course. I don't remember if it was this new course or the old course. It has a little template on what to look for when you want to hire a VA. I think I'll look at that.
right. Awesome. Awesome, man. I'm going to put this on the list. Frederic, I want to shift gears here a little bit. I want to, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to pick some questions from the chat, if you don't mind,
Sure.
um, opening the floor to people here. I saw the chat was very active, so give me a second as I kind of go through it here and just make sure I didn't miss anything. Now, mind you, just because of time, guys, I don't know if we'll get to every question. So let's just see. Um, Let's see. All right. Yatonda asked, which of the Helium 10 tool works for you? Is it black box or magnet, if you've used either?
Black box. We use black box a lot because I mean it's just easier for us to configure. You can just put the revenue you want, all the details that you want for your products, and go to the list. I don't know if that answers your question.
I think so. Well, hopefully Yatonda can confirm, but I think so. Yeah, awesome. All right, let me pick on Ignacio's question next year. So Ignacio asked how long it took for Frederic to launch product number one, get it profitable after launch and scaling, and move to product number two, and whether it was a variation or a completely new product. How long until the positive cash flow was sufficient to sustain the business on its own, maybe generate enough for him to stop the 9 to 5 if he has. So we know he hasn't yet, but yeah, Frederic, if you don't mind jumping in on
Oh
that
yes,
question.
the first product, it took me it took me 2 months to launch it because as I was doing the course, I was applying it. No time to waste. I was pulling the trigger, and then
Mhm.
I joined the course in February. I launched it end of April. I realized it wasn't good. I pivoted. It was the same. How do we call that? The same, a different variation, but the same product. So I launched it in the US. I launched it in Canada, and I launched it in Australia. And
And
then I
you've been doing that
realized,
now for the 3 years, but you're recently stopping selling in Canada, Australia. Is
yes,
that
I
correct?
recently stopped and I found a new product to launch. So that's what I'm working on right now. We're talking to the supplier for production. So
Nice.
hopefully next year, man, I'll be able to focus solely on the business.
Hopefully, that's the plan.
Man,
You
the
gotta,
next year looks better, man. I cannot wait. I'm excited for next year because after
nice.
talking to Sean and the coaches, I think I'm making a better decision now than a couple years ago.
Awesome, man. I'm great. I'm glad to hear that. All right. Mike in the chat asked, this is about playing a long game. Where do you want to be in 3, 5, 10 years? Not in a few weeks or months. Patience is the hard part. Persistence is the key.
Exactly. I think you were talking about it when I was mentioning the long term and how to have a goal and know exactly where you want to go and take every step forward every day. One
Mm.
step, one step for like even when I watch the live stream, sometimes my wife like, you be watching those things like how much are you going to watch? I'm like, I just need one idea every day. One, just jot it down. I know it's gonna serve me at the right time.
Do you have a lot, like a big notepad with all the notes from the live streams?
I wish I was that organized. My notes are everywhere. I have a lot of notepads. I used to have in the beginning I had like one notebook and then I finished all the pages in that notebook and after that it became like notepad.
Notepads everywhere. That'd be gold, man. If you had like one little notepad with all the little golden tips that you've accumulated off the like 3+ years of live streams, that'd be gold.
I've been doing my best. I've been doing my best to keep it organized. So
Awesome. All right, let's talk another question here. These are great questions. All right, so Sharam asked, what was the most important thing that you learned from your first product and your first launch? If you could go back, would you choose the same product again for your first product? Thank you, Frederic, for your time.
So you're welcome. So the first product, I don't think I would change anything. So the funny thing is, last week actually, I was going to my computer bookmarks and I saw the folder that I created for my competitors back then.
Mm.
So it was like 20 competitors that I had on that list. And I went back to each one of their pages. A lot of them drop off. I saw that a lot of them are not selling anymore. And I saw the one who succeed, like the one who are still selling. And I'm like, frankly, this course is a very great course, and it just reaffirmed that if you do the right thing the first time, you're gonna stay on top. That's the most important, because at the end of the day, most competitors that I started with, if I didn't go out of stock, I would still be on top. But the fact that I chose to go to different marketplaces, it really hurt my business. And there's something too that Tim sometimes talk about in the live stream about fear. Like sometimes when we begin, we're not really sure, we don't really know
Mm.
what's going to work, when we're going to, we have questions about when are we going to quit our business. I think all that is possible, because when I look back at those people, I was there on top. Like, I just think fear is stopping us for real. And now I know what to do. Now I know, like, taking action is important, is the most important thing. That's the only thing history remembers, because when I look at all those sellers that are not there anymore, and those that are there, the one who took actions, that took advantage of the opportunities, they made the big bucks, and they're still there.
And so true on how fear can hold people back. I couldn't agree more. It's sometimes the biggest obstacle a lot of people face. And I feel like there's sometimes reasonable fear and there's unreasonable fear, you know? Reasonable fear being like you see a tiger in front of you, you should be stressed and worried and want to run away. But like unreasonable fear is thinking that your product is going to go through the worst possible launch, and yet you haven't even launched yet. It's like you haven't even gotten the game. Why are you living through the worst possible situation and believing that that is the reality? That's unreasonable fear.
Yeah,
It's like every day I'm going to get in my car and think to myself that I'm going to get into a car crash. That's what's going to happen. And imagine driving around having that in the back of your mind. Like, that's unreasonable fear, because like, how can you live like that? You know what I mean? How can you live like that? You can't even leave the house if you're constantly living in fear like that. So I couldn't agree more, man. Fear holds a lot of people back in this game.
yeah. I mean, taking action is the antidote.
Taking action is the antidote. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let me see what else is in the chat here. Great questions, by the way. I'm really liking these questions from the group. Awesome. A lot of people are appreciating your ChatGPT notes and hacks, so that's cool. I've used Upwork. Okay. Oh, here's a question. Okay, so Flomo, he said, I'm a fellow native African from Liberia. I'm also very proud of how much work you have put in. Nice,
Thank
man.
you for
Yeah. How do you pronounce your last name? And where in
it.
Africa are you from originally?
My last name is Ngaha. I'm originally from Cameroon. I speak French originally.
Nice. Cameroon, man. Cameroon. We were talking about this before because I'm originally Egyptian, and
Yes.
we the African like
World Cup.
Cup, which is football, soccer for our American friends. It's quite serious. It happens every
Yeah.
3 years, and Cameroon is one of the top teams, and
Messi
we always have
Fanta.
a hard time with Cameroon. I mean, we can't. They're not playing around there, man.
Man, Cameroon, I think we got qualified 2 weeks ago. It was a big game to qualify for the African Cup of Nations. So
Yeah.
it's a big deal, man.
Who did you guys play to qualify?
I don't remember that country, man. I forgot.
They're dust now. They're dust. They're beneath me. That's really funny. All right, let's see. All right, Erwin asked, can you please share how many SKUs do you have right now?
Right now, I have one skill and one on the way, and two on the way. So
Right on. Man, you've been rocking the one SKU this whole time, huh? Wow.
yes, because fear was holding me back. But after I talked to Sean, I kind of know what to do.
Oh, Sean, man. Shout out to Sean. He's gonna be really happy to hear this, by the way. I'm gonna make
Yeah.
sure he listens to your interview. Flomo asked, what's your 9 to 5 job?
My 9 to 5 is mechanical engineering for the government.
Mechanical engineer for the government. All right.
Yes.
Okay, I think we're gonna take the last question here from Sharam. Sharam asks, as you mentioned, plan ahead and take it step by step. How many products are you planning to have?
So that's a good question because during the CEO Accelerator program that I took in Colombia, there was very detailed sheet on the plan for the next 5 years, for example, how to take your business from nothing from where it is right now to be able to sell it in 5 years. And at the end of this class, one of my goals was to launch a product each quarter.
Each quarter?
So yes, so that's a goal that I've been trying to follow since June. And the next quarter started in July. So this quarter I will launch one, and then I will launch another the next quarter.
In okay.
So that's my perception is of taking one step uh each every day. So that's the goal.
Are you launching are these products all within your existing brands, or are you looking at expanding into different brands?
Both. So the products that I find that can be on the existing brand, I'll put them there. The one that need a new brand, I'll just create a new one. I've done it before, so
Mm,
it's easy. It's like when you do it, the next one becomes easier. And the most important is having a team, right? Working by yourself is just too stressful at some
mm.
point. I mean, not a
How
big
does
team, maybe two or three
yeah?
people.
Mhm. When you say team, do you mean like just people that bounce ideas off, like people in your corner?
I mean, like my VA, for example, is my team, right? Also, the other professionals like CPAs, bankers, lawyers, all those people that can help you if you know brand registry, like creating those connections and expanding.
Mm. How does your VA currently help you with product research? I'm curious.
Yes, she's the one who goes to Helium 10 and use a black box. I give her the criteria to vet. So I make sure that, okay, she understands, we're on the same page, we have a meeting about it. Then she just pick the products and put them on the sheet, the product vetting sheet. Then I will go there and look at those products according to the criteria that I gave her
Mm.
and check off the one that doesn't match. Sometimes it's like 80 or 90% that don't match, and just find the golden nugget in it, put them in the product coaching sheet, and then do the work, and then hire the coach in the course. So it's a back and forth process.
So she basically helps you with that kind of initial part of product research to find the ideas and the low hanging fruit, and then you're kind of taking it from there.
Yes.
Cool.
I
Nice.
mean,
That's a great
and
way to
it's
go
a
about it.
process. It's a process that I show her. We create an SOP, so I know she understands how. And I make sure that during my meetings with the coach is in there. And
Right.
then when you send us the recording, I share that with her too.
So she knows
So
what's up. Smart.
So that's empower. Like when people feel empowered, they want to work for you. They want to work with you. They're like they feel good, and it's easier on you too. That's what I found.
Yeah. And I'm sure also that they feel a lot more like valued when you're getting their opinion for like really important parts and really important decisions within the business, like new
Exactly.
products and the direction the business is going to be growing in, right?
Exactly. And if a decision is simple, I let them take it. I was just okay. That's a decision you can make because
Mm,
when you're running a business, there are so many decisions, man. If you if you want to make all the decisions by yourself, I mean,
mm.
I don't know how far you can go.
Yeah, you're going to need to eventually delegate. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. Frederic, man, this has been a really fun interview. Quite surprised. Like it's an hour and a half since we've started, and it almost feels like we've only been chatting for like 40 minutes. Times flew by. We talked about a lot of awesome stuff, honestly. This is a value-packed interview. Like we got right into it from the very beginning. And
yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people have walked away with some great information from this interview. And if you guys have, please, let us know in the chat. Please share your gratitude for Frederic. Let him know in school, connect with him. I'm sure he's going to really appreciate that. Like that kind of PLM love, that's what we're all about. And I'm sure he's going to appreciate that attention. But before we go, though, as always, I want to do some rapid fire, usually not so rapid fire questions. Um, Frederic, are you ready for me?
Yes,
When do you like to work in your business most?
in the evenings
In the
from
evenings.
6
Gotcha.
p.m. up to like I go to sleep.
Um, what is your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Shawshank.
Shawshank. Gotcha. Oh, such a great movie. Oh my God. Such a great movie. I've watched that too many times. Um, what's your all-time favorite book?
My all-time favorite book. I like the Bible,
Bible, right on.
and right now I'm reading the Breaking, Releasing Your Break. That's a very good book that I would recommend.
Releasing your break. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I have it close by. Yeah, this one,
Oh, release your
Release
brakes.
Your
Oh,
Break.
interesting.
Yeah,
James Newman. What's it about?
it's about the fear factors I was talking about. What's the causes and how to how to release your break because those fears are breaks that we have in our mind. They're not real and we can remove them. And it shows the strategies on how to remove it so we can become successful.
Oh, I've never heard of it, but I want to put it on my list. I'm always looking for cool books like that. Release the brakes.
It's
Release the brakes
about
or release your brakes? Sorry,
release your breaks.
your brakes. Gotcha. Awesome. All right, let me pick on one more. Do you have any hobbies?
Yes, jiu-jitsu. We talked about it.
Jiu-jitsu.
So I started it
I
a
love
year and a
jiu-jitsu.
half ago and it's so addicting. I'll be doing it
Yeah,
right
it's
now. I'm still white
right.
belt.
Still white belt, right on. Awesome. Do you like to compete? Have you thought about going to competitions, anything like that?
No, I don't want to do any competitions because it's too demanding on the body, and a lot of people for competition they take stimulant, so I don't want to be in that world.
I don't want to be in that
Jiu-jitsu,
world. Yeah. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, BJJ. Yeah,
BJJ.
George. Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, Frederic, man, I thank you very much for making the time to give us a little bit more about your perspective on the business, your experience so far with things, and your outlook with where you're taking your business. Keep us posted, man. Like seriously, like you're now that we can put a face to the name, to the wonderful person that you are, Frederic. Like people are going to be even more invested in your journey, right? So you've got a whole team of community members here cheering you on. They want to see you succeed, and that goes through the community and, of course, the PLM team and extension. All right. So keep us in the
All right.
loop, man. We're rooting for you. I can't wait to see where things take you next year. And hey, we never know. Hopefully, we'll get you back to another interview. Maybe the day you quit your job, maybe that
Yeah,
chance, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more about how that went and how you
definitely.
went from today to that moment in your business. Sound good?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Omar. That was a good opportunity, and I love the interview.
Awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that. The replay is going to be posted sometime tonight. Guys, like I said, please show a ton of love to Frederic for his time. Otherwise, I'll see everybody in the group. Have a great evening. Best of luck to everybody, and let's go crush this.
Thank you.
See ya.
See you.